Welcome back to Coach's Corner East on this Wednesday night, October 27th, the Crestline portion of tonight's show. And we are brought to you in part by Lee Plymouth and Brad Seibert at the Plymouth Insurance Group, Gallion and Bucyrus, North Central State College, Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center, North Walnut Street, across from the courthouse in Bucyrus. Phil and Sue Schreck at Phil's Deli, just east of Pizza Hut, where I am right now, here in Gallion at the Bridge. And joining me tonight on Coach's Corner East from Crestline High School, it's junior high football coach, part-time varsity football coach, former girls basketball coach, Kyle Strauch. It's great to see you again. It's been since last year track season, which we had to talk on the phone.
Right, yeah, it's been about 2 years since we've been here.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll talk about the basketball deal a little later, but first let's get into the situation Friday night, and unfortunately Coach King can't be here, so thank you so much for filling in tonight and kind of wrapping up the season, and a tough year for sure. Lost to Elgin 53-8 in the final game of the season. Ended up being 0-9 overall, 0-6 in the Northwest Central Conference. And just looking at the score, it seems like you probably got behind the 8 ball again, and on the wrong side of the ledger. You graciously filled in the press box. So as a junior high coach, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, what was your role this last Friday night?
I was actually in the press box for the whole season. It was more just stats. I had a little bit more on my plate this week with the in-game situations, but mostly stats. But yeah, I was more with the linemen this past week.
Okay, and so talk a little bit about the game and kind of what happened. I looked all over the internet for some sort of information and couldn't find it. So
yeah, we threw the whole kitchen sink at them. We had a bunch of different trick plays, just tried to get something to stick, and we had a couple nice plays. But it just seemed like the majority of the year, it's just we got towards the end of the second quarter and we're there halfway through the second quarter, and it just kind of collapses on us as we try and get to halftime. I think it was only 14-0 about halfway through the second quarter, and it ballooned whatever it was at halftime. And it happened a few times to us this year, and it's just one of those things we couldn't finish the half.
Sometimes when a rock goes downhill, it's really hard to stop, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think, and you've seen the guys all year, and I got to say, and I said a little bit of it last week, these kids fought hard every week, and they deserved a better outcome than they got.
Yes.
And they never shied away from my questions. They came every week, coaches came every week, and kind of faced the music, so to speak. So I feel bad because they certainly deserve better. But when those kind of things happen, where it was close for a while and then it kind of fell apart, is it more mental based on what you've seen, or is it physical, or a combination?
Maybe a little bit of both. I think physically, they start to wear out a little bit towards halftime with their lower numbers. Also, it's just sometimes mentally just sets in. It happens once or twice. It's hard to break. It's hard to break that habit of finishing the half strong, and we weren't able to do that and keep ourselves in the game going into halftime.
Who did score your touchdown for you?
It was Connor Loss.
Good for him.
Fade route. Yep.
Good for him on his last game as a football player.
Yep.
Great that he was able to score. And one of the notes I had down here was, did the seniors seem to enjoy their final game? Because I can tell you on social media, and you probably saw it as well, guys like Josh Hall, Connor Lusk, Brandon Hiles, they all put really nice things on there, how they wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Yeah, it's a great group of kids. They deserve a better outcome than what they got this year, but it just is what it is. They understood it. They came to work every day, worked hard. Just being with them the last week of the season, I filled in with Coach King and a couple of coaches couldn't be there, and just the enthusiasm. We're in the weight room the one day, and they're hopping around, jumping around, screaming. Just you wouldn't have thought we were 0-8. Just guys that just love to be around each other, playing a sport and being brothers.
Take us inside a little bit. When the clock hit 0, you went down to the field, you're in the team huddle, and what did you see on their faces? What kind of emotion did you see? Take us inside a little bit of that experience.
Obviously they wanted to win, so I think they were a little disappointed there that they couldn't win, or it wasn't real competitive the second half. But I just saw a team that they gave everything they had. They gave everything they had. We were outmatched, but they fought like crazy to try and compete towards the end of that game, and just wasn't meant to be.
You talk about the character of young people, and especially this group, and that they deserved a better fate. And for 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, that aren't having success in this, society of microwave mentality of instant success and have to have success, it would be very easy for them to just kind of throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm just. They could have done that after week 5, week 6, week 7, but they kept battling. How proud are you, as not only a coach but an educator in the school system, of these kids gutting through it?
They're just very proud, very proud. They every week they just seem to give everything they had. They knew most weeks we were going to be at a disadvantage physically, but they came in and they gave everything they had. I mean, we as coaches, we couldn't be prouder of how they handled themselves. They just gave everything they had, and unfortunately they didn't get the result they wanted.
Yeah, for sure. Show is brought to you in part by Steve Kurtzman and Associates at Innovative Recycling, 352 South Street in Gallion. Candy Bolin of Bolin Realty, 2 blocks west of the Uptown Gallion Square. And John Cross at Cross Carpet and Custom Floors, 302 North Seltzer Street in downtown Crestline. So you and Coach Sanders, the varsity boys basketball coach, took over the reins as junior high coaches this year.
Yes.
Had you coached football before, or was this your first year?
I coached a couple of years over here in Gallion when I was over here. That was 6 years ago, so I had to brush up a little bit. I know Coach Sanders had never coached football before. We were both last-second ads. Coach King had a couple coaches, and it fell through, and he got me about the end of June, and he was trying to find another coach, and Tyler always said, hey, if you need somebody at the end, just let me know. And it was about mid-July, and we still didn't have another coach, and Tyler stepped up, and he did a good job. He did a good job for not playing football before, coaching football before. He stepped up, and yeah.
Got her done.
Yep.
So you guys spend a lot of time together in the gym, you being the girls basketball coach, former girls basketball coach, and him being the boys coach. And so you spent a lot of time, you knew him very well. How much or how easy was it because of your relationship on the basketball side, that it translated, regardless of what, I don't care if it was ping pong or darts, whatever, how easy was that transition to be co-coaches?
It was very easy, very easy. I know Tyler very well from the last couple of years. We've worked very well together, just in terms of who practiced when, gym times, just really worked well together. We've become good friends. It was really easy, to be honest with you. We know how each other coach. We know our strengths, our weaknesses, and we try and help each other out as much as possible.
So as you went through the season, first and foremost at the junior high level, what was your record?
We were 0-4-1.
Okay.
And you'll have to ask Coach Sanders when he comes here how he feels about middle school ties. You have to ask him. Get him all riled up.
Yeah, I will do that for sure. And let's face it, nobody ever remembers a record at 7th grade or 8th grade along that thing. It's a time to build and all that. Numbers-wise, it was probably, pretty decent?
Yeah, we ended up with 24. Last year they were playing 8-man football last year. Now we're 24. Just talking with Coach Dick over there, it's the first time these kids have ever played 11-man football, 7th and 8th graders. So it was definitely a learning process, but they started to get it. It's a good group of kids. Speaking of Coach Sanders, he texted us earlier and said there was 23 middle school kids that showed up to open gym today for basketball.
Good.
So it's just a group of middle school kids that just love to play sports.
That's great.
My track team last year, we had our best numbers I've had there in 4 years. So it's a group that loves to play sports, and I'm excited to see them come up.
What did you like about the progression of this junior high group, the 7th and 8th graders, that, from day one to where you finished up?
Just their work ethic, just like high school. They work hard. They work hard. They lifted all summer. Just like high school, we didn't get the results we wanted, but we were close. We were close a couple games. We had a tie. A couple of the games we're right there. We just have to make the winning plays, and that's just not just us. It's just a program thing that we're trying to understand and build, that you have to make those 3 or 4 plays in a game to win a game. And it's just not there yet, but we're working towards it.
So one of the things that Coach King and coaches before him have struggled with a little bit at Crestline is getting kids to commit. It's the off-season program, because let's face it, you can go out there and play for 10 weeks and participate in things like that, but you got to do the little stuff. It's the off-season workout if you're not in another sport. It's the commitment during the summer, and let's face it, everybody wants time off. And everybody's pulling you, right? Coaches are pulling you, whether it be travel baseball, open gym, maybe some sort of track type situation. And let's face it, people want to go on vacation. So do these young kids that are in your junior high program have the mindset to do what is necessary to make them successful once they get into high school?
I think so. Majority of our kids, they were in the weight room. We had a weight program during middle school track. They'd go over there a couple days a week. A lot of the boys who played football ran track for me. They were lifting. They lifted all summer. We had a few kids come out once school started, and we've had good talks with them about, hey, you can't do that again. You got to come out during the summer. If we want to be successful, yeah, we'll take you this year, but going forward, we need you in that weight room during the summer, starting August 1st, and so we can just keep rolling.
Yeah. So as you watch the progress, what are the biggest areas that these kids need to make, especially the 8th graders who are going to be moving on to freshmen next year? What's the biggest areas of improvement they need to make?
I'd say physicality, just tackling. We struggled we have some of our kids who just did not want to be physical, and it's something we are trying to teach these kids. Like, hey, you got to be physical to play football. Like, you can't be afraid to be hit. You can't afraid to hit somebody. Right. You can't just flail your arms at them, and that's just something that overall through the season I noticed that we definitely as a program need to get better at.
Yeah, it's interesting because Coach Teglovic has just mentioned he's got some old school players on his defense that just love to hit, and I think some of it, yeah, you got to have physical skills to do it, but it's a mentality as well. It's a mindset.
Yes,
it's a want to. Yeah, for sure. We'll come back and talk to you here a little bit about some other things before we finish up tonight. We're brought to you in part by Terry Gribble and Associates at your Gallion Community Center YMCA, Dr. Erica Schieber at Bucyrus Veterinary Service, 222 West Mary Street, Bucyrus. Rod Steiger and Associates at the Pizza Hut here in Gallion and Bucyrus, our host since 1992. And Luann Krebs at Rivers Edge Embroidery and Screen Printing and Signs, sponsor of our phone board T-shirts. And Coach, I know there's the season's just getting over. It's done with practice and all that. And regardless, the situation next year, if they came and tapped you on the shoulder again and said, hey, we enjoyed you being a football coach. I know you want to do track. Would you do it again?
Yeah. Middle school wise, I feel like it's something I'd like to do. High school wise, I don't know, maybe. But middle school, I enjoyed it, for sure.
So let's transition just a little bit. I've got to know you the past few years with girls basketball, and I was a little surprised to hear that you're not going to be coming back as the girls basketball coach. It does give an opportunity for another young man to come in and take that program over. What was kind of that decision to kind of step away in that and just focus on your track team?
Just coaching 2 sports, head coach at the varsity level just became a little too much. I just didn't feel like I could give both programs the attention they deserved. So I had to give one up, and I chose to give up basketball. I hate it for the girls. I hated leaving them, but it was a tough choice. It would have been a tough choice either way, but I had to make the choice I made.
Was there a specific reason why you chose track over basketball, or not necessarily so?
Track's always been my number one love. I went to college for a year. I've coached ever since I came back. Basketball's kind of been off and on. So yeah, track was my favorite sport in school, and felt like that's the one I wanted to stick with.
And you've had some success there too.
Yes,
and that always helps as well. Not that you haven't on the basketball side, but certainly that's a good thing for sure. Well, we're going to miss you during our shows here coming up, and you're certainly always welcome to come around and join it anyways. But I enjoyed having you here. But we'll get you on for a track show here at the end of the season for sure. I do want to point out that I did get an opportunity to see that you did have some young men make all Northwest Central Conference, and I can remember talking to Coach Sipes in the past, and then Coach King. Just not being in a league, it kind of has taken away from kids' opportunity to get some postseason accolades, which they deserve for all the work.
Absolutely.
Jake Bruce, first team defense. He never was a big talker every time he came here, but the kid worked hard, didn't he?
Yes. Hard worker, high motor. Just doing stats from the last game. Unofficially, just from the press box, he had 17 solo tackles, 2 assists. So he was just all over the field on last week, week 10. He just laid it all on the line. And afterwards, he just felt bad because he couldn't help the team win for the seniors. Just a selfless kid. Just love that kid to death. He's a hard worker for sure.
But somebody that's coming back next year,
Yes.
and the team will graciously welcome him in for sure.
Absolutely.
Honorable mention, 3 seniors, Connor Lusk, Brandon Hiles, and Josh Hall. I feel they probably deserved a little bit better. Maybe the numbers weren't glaring enough to get them higher honors, but I can tell you in speaking to them a number of times, not only this year, but in years past, and not only football, but other sports as well, if they were if it would have been based on character and mindset, they would have been first teamers to me, and they are to me because they're class individuals.
Yes, absolutely. They as we've talked about, they just work so hard. They put a lot of time and effort into it, and unfortunately, the results weren't there. But I mean, you couldn't ask for three better representatives of Crestline High School.
Yeah, very good. Well, Coach, again, thanks so much for stepping in tonight. And even though Coach King can't be here tonight, to your whole entire village, to your school district, to your administration, to your coaching staff, to your kids, you came in a tough situation. I told them last week. I said, if you're 9-1, 10-0, it's easy to come on the radio and talk. That's the easy stuff. To have young men be able to talk week after week after week about how did you lose, what do you got to do to get better, that's not easy. And we're all going to face adversity in our lives. They're getting an early taste of that, but they got through it. Commending all of you guys for what you've gone through. You deserve better than that, and hopefully someday you're going to get better than that. But way to stick it out, way to hang in there.
Thank you. Sports are all about life lessons, whether they're good or bad, and they've learned a lot.
Yeah, you betcha. Well, have a great off season again. Certainly appreciate your time tonight and all of the Bulldogs' time this year.
All right, thank you, Mike.
I appreciate it very much. Hey, coming up tomorrow and the rest of this week on the media programming side, it's the Ryan Day Show tomorrow night, 6:05, as the Buckeyes get ready for the Nittany Lions of Penn State coming in on Saturday night. You can listen to the Ryan Day Show tomorrow at 6:05. On Friday night, we'll have tournament high school football. It'll be the Galleon Tigers at Clyde. That'll be kickoff at 7 p.m. And Cameron Moon's going to have the opening drive at 6:30 on both nights, right, Cam? Just Friday night. Okay, 6:30 Friday night. It'll be Cam Moon in the opening drive, followed by Galleon at Clyde. That'll be on WQEL, and then Davy Jones in the Friday night phone board. Saturday, Ohio State football. They're at home against Penn State. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock, kickoff right around 7:30. We will have high school tournament football on WBCO 107.5. It'll be Oregon Cardinal Stritch at Colonel Crawford. And then on Sunday, the 31st, Halloween, be sure to tune in at 2 o'clock for the Time Warp Halloween special. I want to thank everybody here at our Pizza Hut tonight, especially our managers, Bree Hefner and Michelle Burris, Jordan Roop. Our server tonight was Ian. Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you to Danny Lane back in the studio for keeping me on air. Camera operator Cameron Moon and Harper Boggs for all she does each and every week. Thank you, Galleon football coach Matt Dick and his players, Colonel Crawford football coach Ryan Teglovic and his players, Crestline Junior High football coach Kyle Strauch for joining us tonight. And thank you for everyone that tuned in on our WQEL Facebook page. And for WQEL Sports, this has been Mike Sparks reminding you, Spirit with a Vision is a dream with a mission. Have a good night, everybody.